Brown Live. Go to Tracey Brown Live. Gals and guys, go to Tracey Brown Live. Go to Tracey Brown Live. Go to Tracey Brown Live. Gals and guys, go to Tracey Brown Live. Go to Tracey Brown Live. Go to Tracey Brown Live. Gals and guys, go to Tracey Brown Live. Go to Tracey Brown Live. Go to Tracey Brown Live.
To read Revelations. And I honor Melissa's presence in joining me to read Revelations. I was thinking that it was getting too heavy, right? And I don't know if Melissa knew this, but I was questioning whether or not I should continue on. And so, by God's grace, right? You gotta trust God in the process. And by God's grace, Melissa was like, I'll join you tomorrow. But she didn't, I don't think she knew what I was going through. And she's like, I'll join you tomorrow. And I was like, okay, not thinking much of it. Just like, okay, it'll be just for tomorrow. But it turned out it was much more than just for tomorrow. It was many tomorrows, many Saturdays. And it was a beautiful balance, right? It was a wonderful balance. And it also gave me the opportunity not to give up, right? So it really told me that God wanted me to do this. That's what it told me. Because I thought Melissa was just going to come on one Saturday. But she helped complete the process. And that can only be God, right? Because I was going to give up.
Harry.
And maybe that's a good, right? That just when you want to give up, God may send something to you, send somebody to you, send someone. You will have like a healing of money. If you not give up, say, no, keep going, keep going. I have a design for you. And I have a design for you as an example for others. So that God is kind of, I complain a lot to him, but I'm kind of finding out that maybe something about this kid shooting so God, but even that's a design, right? We don't have to understand it, we have to know and trust the process. I don't like it. I don't like it. And you could say that to God, right? You could tell God, I don't like this situation. I don't like what's going on. I don't like the people around me. I don't like my job. Like, say it to him. Who else can you talk to and he would actually listen, right? Churches make you believe you can't talk to God. But you can talk to God. And you can be mad at God. And you can be upset with God, especially when you get a divorce, right? You get a divorce, you're like, oh, God, I'm mad at you. He can handle it. He can handle it. I promise you. He's going to be like, give it to me. Just rambling with his Melissa. And don't, I like to ramble, guys.
Hey, Melissa. Hey. I'm doing fine. How are you doing?
Good. I've been up since, I'm going to say probably 5:30 in the morning.
5:30?
And that's the time I wake up to go to work.
Oh, you don't give yourself an opportunity to sleep in?
Well, you know what?
Yeah.
I notice now, I'm not a big sleeper like I used to be.
Yeah.
I used to want to, like, sleep all the time.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, I'm up.
Oh,
You know?
yes. Well, I'm sure Sammy likes it when you're up.
Wow. Let me tell you something.
Tell me.
This moment for you, right? Because he gets to sleep all day, you know, go outside, you know, live the dog's life. Sammy woke me up one day at 1:30 in the morning. He usually wakes me up around 1:30 to
Disconnected.
Uh-huh. Hold on. Hold on, Melissa. I lost you. Are you there? All right. Let me just see something. Hi.
my son birthday time. So I go and I take him outside, and you know, he just be looking up and down the block like he's looking for somebody. I'm like, come on, dude, please go back in the house. There's nothing to look for.
That's too funny.
And yeah, and from there he stayed up. Once he gets me up, then I don't want to go back to sleep.
Yes.
Me and him was up from 1:30 to 3:30.
What?
And then we went to sleep.
And then you got up again at 5:30?
Yeah, to go to work, and he went about his business. Like, it was fun hanging out with you in the middle of the morning, but I'm going back to sleep. I'm like, what kind of shit is that?
Oh my God. Oh. Melissa, I was hoping to go to an agricultural fair today, but let me tell you something about Caribbeans. It's the weirdest thing. They do not like rain. These folks do not like rain. So, I know.
They don't like rain, so they cancel when it rains?
No, but you pay for a booth at agriculture, the fair. You pay for a booth, but these people don't like rain. So whether they pay for a booth or not, they're probably not going to be there. The fair is going to be open.
It's like that.
It's like that, yes. Black folks do not like rain. I will never understand it. So I was hoping it was going to stay cloudy all day, right? Because then I could go to agriculture. It's out in the open. It's about a mile long. And the sun wouldn't beat me down, right? So when I woke up this morning, I was like, yes, clouds. But here come the rain. Here come the rain. And everybody is just trying to get to agriculture. Plus, it's one more day tomorrow. So I guess if they miss a day today, who cares? They got tomorrow. They had yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Yesterday was nice. It's a whole event, yeah. It's called the Agriculture Fair, so it's all the farmers. And they might come over from St. Thomas even, St. John. It's a huge fair to sell their organic stuff. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is nice. So nice. So.
I like stuff like that.
Don't you, though? But.
You know, one time I went to a Native American festival, and can I tell you something, Tracy?
Tell me.
I felt like my body, my mind, my spirit left my body. It was going wherever it wanted to go there. Yep. It was like, oh.
I believe it, Melissa.
and what's leaving me, like,
First of all, Melissa, I believe it, and second of all, it means, to me, it means you probably have connections with Native American culture because you had a visceral experience. Melissa, I don't know what's going on, but this rain is bringing some noise.
really?
Yeah, like it's kind well, well, you know the way Aoife Shea says it, right? That Oya comes first. Oya and Shango. Oya and Shango. Uh-huh. So those two are like doing a dance up there. Or maybe it's a husband, you know, because they're together. Maybe they arguing. Who knows?
When I got off the bus.
Really?
Yeah, we started going really hard tonight.
Yeah. Oh, child. So it took me all morning to find your audio change. What does that mean? Just Ivy. When you say your audio changed, what happened? I think I might have walked away. I don't know. But good health to everyone on YouTube. Good health to everyone. Thank you for coming on board. And it took me all morning, Melissa, to find my book, The Alchemist.
Listen, I found it in 5 minutes. I said, Spirit, please.
Right.
Help me find my book.
Right. Spirit, please.
I had to ask. You know, it's funny. Every time I be losing stuff now, I ask. I'm like, Spirit, where's my worksheet?
That's right.
They be like, check your pocket. Check your pocket. I be like, all right, I'll check it in my pocket. And I tell them, thank you, thank you. It's like all day long, there's always something. I'm like...
But I love that you're checking with Spirit. That's so cool.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
I always lose stuff, so it's like, you know, once I drop something, that's it.
Yes.
Lose it, and it's like, what happened to it? I don't know.
But Melissa, I do want to say, did you miss, like, I feel like on the last day of Revelations, it was like so sad.
Yeah, it was that.
Yeah.
You know, I was just like, every week we got to learn something, like how we learned about the trees and learned about the eyes of the olive tree.
Yes.
Or the eyes of God that watches over us. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm like, people, leave the trees alone. You know?
Yes, yes. Mm-hmm.
And then the birds. I
Yeah.
said the birds are your spirit guides and your angels. And I was like, I never thought about that.
Yes.
And now I'm just like in awe.
Yes, now you're looking at life a little differently now. Mm-hmm.
Yes, and knowing, and the best part was knowing that God does magic too.
That was the best
icing
part.
on top of the cake.
That was the best part. The binding spell with the devil for
The
1,000
binding
years.
spell.
Uh-huh.
I was like, wow.
Yes. And I love the part that he didn't kill the devil. He just bound him up so that people could respond to each other with love. But damn it, if we aren't in the next 1,000 years of that devil being released. My God. I think we all learned a lot. I hope everyone on YouTube and Blog Talk Radio learned a lot too. It was nice, and I just honor the ability. Yeah. I honor the ability, Melissa, to understand it, being given the opportunity to understand. One, I honor your presence when you came along. Two, and I honor the ability to have the time and space and wherefore thou to do it. Like, so many components had to come together for all of it to make sense.
All of it, and it's just like so like in awe.
Yes.
It's like everybody was like, "This is good."
Yeah.
There's always something fascinating.
We always learn something.
Always, yeah. Mm-hmm.
That was nice. That was so nice.
But definitely, it definitely is a different perspective. It
Yes.
makes you look at things, makes you appreciate things more.
Yeah. And even look at the part like where God says there's going to be more plagues, right? And you're like, oh, and you're like, oh, more plagues, maybe another version of Omicron. No, monkeypox. And it's like, what the fuck? What the hell?
I know. Monkeypox. You know what? I keep calling it monkeypox. I don't know why I keep calling it that.
Call it whatever you want. It's not supposed to be here.
You know, like at my job, the old people, they're gonna go get the shot. They're gonna get the fourth shot now.
The monkeypox or the COVID?
The COVID shot.
Don't they have like?
They're giving it to 50 and over.
Don't they have like 5 shots in their bodies already?
Well, let me see. Well, we got the 2 COVID shots. So say like the regular 2 COVID shots, right? But and then I forgot the name of it. I had Pfizer, right? I think I had Pfizer. So I got the first and the second, right, of the Pfizer. Then I got the first booster and then the second booster. I think we got. So that's 4, right? So this one that they're gonna have next, it's gonna be the 5th.
Do you have to get it?
And I think they're calling it a booster too.
Do you have to get it, Melissa?
I have no idea. They didn't say anything yet, but my mom had to get it at her job because they would give it to everybody that's 50 and over. At the jobs, yeah.
Wow.
So it's like they're trying to use. I think it's just all like a money grab, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's all about like, I mean, it's about just making money off of people. It's not like it's like it's getting old about when people are sick in the hospital now, right?
Yeah.
So they're finding a new way to make more revenue for themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, a lot of the vaccines they didn't even get to sell. First of all, they didn't sell it to the poorer countries in Africa, right? They gave it to everybody else, but the poorer countries in Africa. By the time they got ready to, when people began to realize that these vaccines are killing people, then they were like AstraZeneca, I think is one of them. They were like, oh no, now we've got a surplus. Let's bring it to Africa. And it's like, come on, guys. And by that time, at least 25 countries in Africa was like, no, we are not taking.
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Interesting enough.
They're still cooking with gas. They're still cooking with gas. They're still, you know.
Here's a side note. Every African country that refused the vaccine, president has been assassinated.
Man, it's almost like you're gonna. It's almost like the Purge, the movie, how people would just well, the Purge movie's a little bit. The Purge movie's a little worse, but because the Purge movie is like basically like the government gives you 24 hours, right? They made a couple of things. They give you like 24 hours or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That you could just go and kill anybody you want, and you won't go to jail.
Yeah,
but it's kind of like, if you think about it, it's almost like they're doing it with the shop.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It does feel like
they're
a version.
Because, yeah.
It does feel like a version of the Purge. It does. And technically, it is. Technically, it's not good. So, Melissa, I'm going to read the foreword, if that's okay, because I think the foreword is important to read. And I usually don't read the foreword in any book. But in The Alchemist, it's important because there's a timeline in The Alchemist that makes sense. I was talking earlier, I didn't know if you were on or not, about the timing of everything, right? And how all the components came together, right? To make something happen, because I was about to give up, you know? And so how the timing of when this book came out, like it couldn't come out when the guy had written the book. It came out now. And the thing that you're going to learn in this book, everyone, is where is God? Where is God? Right? And you're going to have to trust. You're going to have to trust God. You're going to have to trust him. You're going to have to figure it out, because his timing is what matters. Because his timing is your timing. Your timing is coordinated with somebody else's timing. And it all has to be perfect and good and correct for all. So I'm going to read the foreword, okay?
Okay.
Okay. Are you guys ready on YouTube? I'm going to read the foreword. Okay. This is the book, The Alchemist. When The Alchemist was first published, 25 years in my native Brazil, no one noticed. A bookseller in the northeast corner of the country told me that only one person purchased a copy the first week of its release. It took another 6 months for the bookseller to unload a second copy. And that was to the same person who brought the first. And who knows how long it took to sell the third. By the end of the year, it was clear to everyone that The Alchemist wasn't working. My original publisher decided to cut me loose and cancel our contract. They wiped their hands of the project and let me take the book with me. I was 41 and desperate. But I never lost faith in the book or ever wavered in my vision. Why? Because it was me in there, all of me, heart and soul. I was living my own metaphor. A man sets out on a journey dreaming of a beautiful or magical place in pursuit of some unknown treasure. At the end of his journey, the man realizes the treasure was with him the entire time. I was followed my personal legend. My treasure was my capacity to write, and I wanted to share this treasure with the world. As I wrote in An Alchemist, when you want something, the whole universe conspires to help you. I started knocking on the doors of other publishers. One opened, and the publisher on the other side believed in me and my book and agreed to give The Alchemist a second chance. Slowly, through word of mouth, it finally started to sell. 3,000, then 6,000, then 10,000, book by book, gradually throughout the year. 8 months later, an American visiting Brazil picked up a copy of The Alchemist in the local bookstore. He wanted to translate the book and help me find a publisher in the United States. HarperCollins agreed to bring it to the American audience, publishing it with great fanfare, ads in the New York Times, influential magazines, radio, television interviews. But it still took some time to sell, slowly finding its audience in the United States by word of mouth, just as it did in Brazil. And then one day, Bill Clinton was photographed leaving the house with a copy. And then Madonna raved about the book to Vanity Fair. And people from different walks of life, Rush Limbaugh and William Smith to college students and soccer moms, were suddenly talking about it. The Alchemist became a spontaneous and organic phenomenon. The book hit the New York Times bestsellers list, an important milestone for any author, and stayed there for more than 300 weeks. It has since been translated in more than 80 different languages, the most translated book by any living author, and is widely considered one of the 10 best books of the 20th century. People continue to ask me if I knew The Alchemist would be such a huge success. The answer is no. I had no idea. How could I? When I sat down to write The Alchemist, all I knew is that I wanted to write about my soul. I wanted to write about my quest to find my treasure. I wanted to follow the omens because I knew even then that the omens are the language of God. Though The Alchemist is now celebrating its 25th anniversary, it is no relic of the past. The book is still very much alive. Like my heart and like my soul, it continues to live every day because my heart and soul are in it. And my heart and soul is your heart and soul. I am Santiago, the shepherd boy in search of my treasure, just as you are Santiago, the shepherd boy in search of your own. The story of one person is the story of everyone. And one man's quest is the quest of all humanity, which is why I believe The Alchemist continues all these years later to resonate with people from different cultures all over the world, touching them emotionally and spiritually and equally without prejudice. I reread The Alchemist regularly, and every time I do, I experience the same sensation I felt when I wrote it. And here is what I feel. I feel happiness because it is all of me and all of you simultaneously. I feel happiness too because I know I can never be alone. Wherever I go, people understand me. They understand my soul. This continues to give me hope. When I read about clashes around the world, political clashes, economic clashes, cultural clashes, I am reminded that it is within our power to build a bridge to be crossed. Even if my neighbor doesn't understand my religion or understand my politics, he can understand my story. If he can understand my story, then he's never too far from me. It's always within my power to build a bridge. There is always a chance for reconciliation. A chance that one day he and I will sit around a table together and put an end to our history of clashes. And on this day, he will tell me his story, and I will tell him mine. Wow. That was nice. The prologue, the forward was a book too. He's gifted, this dude. All right, Melissa, let me just see what everyone is thinking. What do you guys think so far? All right. So, Melissa, do you want to read the prologue?
Sure.
Go for it.
You know, I love the part when he said the omen. The omen is
Yes.
God.
Yes. Let's go back over that. That's a good point. Oh, you know what, Melissa? Did you get your highlighter?
No, I didn't, but you know what? I am going to underline it with a pen.
Yes.
That's what I am going to do.
Yes. Let me. That's beautiful. Let me read that.
Cute little color pencil.
Let me read that. It says, people continue to ask me if I knew the Alchemist would be a huge success. The answer is no. I had no idea. How could I? When I sat down to write The Alchemist, all I knew is that I wanted to write about my soul. I wanted to write about my quest to find my treasure. I wanted to follow the omens because I knew even then that the omens are the language of God. That is beautiful, Melissa. You are absolutely right. So I'm going to highlight that part too, because, you know, I tell everyone there's no accidents. Nothing's an accident, right? Divorce isn't an accident. Marriage isn't an accident. You know, living and dying, right? But I just think it's the omen sometimes is the place that gives us hope, right? It's the place where you're like the 18 kids that died. One of the kids got shot 5 times and she lives. That's the part that gives us hope. Do you understand? That's the part we have to look to. We have to look to the part of hope. So I just highlighted that too, because I always want to remember that the omens are the language of God.
I just was
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay, so,
Mm-hmm.
now we're going to have to pay attention, people.
Yes.
You got to pay attention to the almonds that come around us.
Yes. Yes. All right, Melissa, you can start the prologue.
Okay. It says the alchemist picked up a book that someone in the cabaret. I was saying that right.
It's okay. Caravan
had more. Leafing through the pages, he found a story about Narcissus. The alchemist knew the legend of Narcissus, a youth who killed daily.
No, a youth. Wait, sweetie. Wait, Melissa. A youth who kneeled. That's when you bend down.
Oh, that says kneel?
It's pronounced kneeled. That's when you bend down. When you kneel down.
Kneel, okay. When you kneel down, okay, I put the word underneath it. When you kneel daily beside a lake to contemplate his own beauty. He was so fascinated by himself that one morning he fell into the lake and drowned. At the spot where he fell, a flower was born, which was called the Narcissus. But this was not how the author of the book ended the story. He said that when the Narcissus when the Narcissus died, the goddess of the forest appeared and found the lake, which had been fresh water transformed into a lake of salty tears. Why do you weep? The goddess asked. I weep for the Narcissus. The lake replied, it is no surprise that you weep for the Narcissus. They said, for though we always pursue him in the forest, you alone could contemplate his beauty close at hand. But was the Narcissus beautiful? The lake asked. Who's better than you know that? The goddess said in wonder. After all, it was by your banks that he knelt each day to contemplate himself. The lake was silent for some time. Finally it said, I weep for Narcissus, but I never noticed that the Narcissus was beautiful. I weep because each time he kneeled beside my bank, I could see in depth of his eyes my own beautiful reflection.
Oh, wow.
What a lovely story the Alchemist thought.
Okay.
Wow.
I don't know, guys. I think I need some help with that. And right? Okay, I'm going to try and figure it out, but I think I need help from the public. It feels like a game show. Dun, 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 dun. Who can help us? Right? So, the Narcissus was looking in the lake because the forest had no reflections, right? So he was looking in the lake because, to me, the lake was like a mirror, the way I see it. So the Narcissus went to the mirror to go look at himself every day. The Narcissus falls in the lake, and a beautiful flower came out of it. and had been transformed from fresh water into a lake of salty tears. And the goddess says to the lake, "Why do you weep?" And he goes, "I weep for the Narcissus." And she goes, it's no surprise that you weep for the Narcissus. For though he always pursued him in the forest, you alone could contemplate his beauty close at hand. And then the lake goes, "But was Narcissus beautiful?" The lake asks, and she goes, "Who better than you to know that?" says the goddess. "And after all, it was by your banks that he knelt every day to contemplate himself." The lake was silent for some time, and finally it said, "I weep for Narcissus, but I never noticed that Narcissus was beautiful. I weep because each time he knelt beside the bank, I could see in the depths of his eyes my own beauty." What a lovely story.
You imagine you go to, you know what the whole flower thing,
Mm-hmm.
you know, with the Narcissus falling in the water, you know, drowning,
Yeah.
and the flower appeared. And, you know, the thing I wrote down was death comes to life. It was at that moment that he died.
Yes.
A new life came, whether it was any type of life, right? But it was a flower that got to experience life.
Yes. You know, I'm trying to I'm trying to figure out, and I don't want to make up things, right? Because I'm I don't want to make up things to suit my impressions, right? But I'm trying to figure out if the Narcissus and the lake was like Johnny Depp and Amber, right? If the Narcissists love themselves so much through the reflection of somebody else, and could the somebody else love the Narcissist so much that, do you know what I mean? Like, could you? Like,
so they love the Narcissus so much that they don't realize their own reflection.
Their own reflection. That's what I'm trying to say. And to see the Narcissist not as a narcissist, not as beauty, but as a soul. But it's kind of weird. Maybe I'm looking at it wrong, but as a soul that connects to the soul. So was the lake a narcissist? Right? Because the minute there was...
Yeah, because he went in the water.
Mm-hmm. He went in his natural element.
The energy's already in there.
The narcissist was loving his own... Okay. The narcissist was loving his own self through the eyes and souls. No, the lake was loving his own self through the eyes and souls of the narcissist. So it's like you had two people that loved each other by a reflection of each other. And then the minute the narcissist drowned, the lake... Okay, this is the way I see it. I could be thinking wrong, right? The minute the narcissist drowned, the lake became so sad that it turned the fresh water to salty water, which means fresh water has a purpose. Thank you, Val. Val's trying to help here. The fresh water has a purpose. So fresh water has a purpose for the community, for the ecosystem, right? And
right.
And so if the lake missed the narcissist so much, not as a person, but missed the fact that they see their own soul in the eyes of the narcissist, and became so sad that they became a miser and changed the lake salty. Isn't that selfish? Isn't that inconsiderate?
You're right, it is selfishness. And also, the other thing about the lake was so into seeing the reflection and the soul that when the narcissist decided to go in the, drown in the water, it was like, oh, I don't have nothing to look at. I'm so pissed.
Exactly. And to be so sad to the point where you don't care about others, that you turn fresh water that people do need, like fresh water has its purpose, to salty water. That ruins the ecosystem. Because the ecosystem is surrounded around this lake because it's fresh water. So what's the ecosystem supposed to do when you change it to salty water? Because you're so selfish, as the narcissist was. So it's kind of like two narcissists looking at each other, which I think is a Johnny Depp and Amber Heard situation.
Absolutely.
I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking too hard, guys. What do you think? Because it looks like
I don't think you're thinking too hard. I mean, it's a good example.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the same energy.
Yeah.
But they don't realize they got the same energy, but they do.
Thank you, Melissa. It's the same energy.
That one was a person and one was water, but it was the same energy.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. It was the same energy. Thank you. Right. Because he goes, I never noticed that the narcissist was beautiful. I weep because each time he knelt, I could see in the depths of his soul my own beauty. Like, what the fuck is happening? That is so crazy to me.
It was a selfish act of, worrying about what the lake was worried about what it looked like versus what the person looked like.
Yes.
That's deep.
That is deep. I mean, Melissa, just think about it, right? We all have to have divorce, death, right? And to be so miserable because something is taken away from you that you're not given back to life, the lake turns salty. So you can't be happy unless somebody's looking at you, lake, so that you could see yourself. That is crazy to me.
And like it's like you said, it has fresh water, has purpose.
Mm-hmm.
So it was so selfish that it didn't want to be abundant,
Yes.
Giving the fresh water that has its purpose. It took the purpose away because it was selfish. It didn't care no more.
It didn't care.
Like, you know what? If this water has fish in it, all the fish are gonna die because I'm not happy.
But think about it. Freshwater fish can't live in salty water. So it's
So it's like.
Mm-hmm.
So they die too.
Exactly.
So you know what though? If you think about it, if they die too, that means it becomes a water. I'm gonna, you know what? I keep thinking of it's gonna be it's like the water. If it's salty, it's probably murky because of the energy of just being, like not good. If it's murky, who's gonna want to go over and see their reflection? They might not see their reflection.
Yeah.
Because the water's so murky.
Yeah. Well, that brings me to another point, remember, Melissa, because the lotus comes out of murky waters.
Oh, I did not know that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
I did not know that.
Yes. The lotus comes out of, well, I don't know if it's unclean, but they always say it's murky. That beautiful flower found a way through.
Wow.
Yes.
So it turned murky, but that's why the flower had came.
Got it. Oh, that's deep, Melissa. That's something, even though the lake was mourning, oh, that's so good. Even though the lake was mourning, not being able to see its own reflection through the Narcissus and turned salty, something still came out. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Melissa, that is crazy.
That is deep.
Whew. Well, there you go. We learned something today. And I had always heard the Narcissus story. I didn't, you hear something when you're in your early 20s, in your early college days, and you're like, okay. Meanwhile, you're a narcissist at that young age. You're like, all right, I'm not getting this. But it's not that you don't get it. It's like, it's like you don't want to know. Oh, Musings is so adorable. She goes, I have a better understanding of the lotus flower now. Yeah. Yeah. And Giacana says, compassion is the beginning of healing, and the ecosystem has naturally more salt water on the planet than fresh. That has to be. Doesn't take much fresh water to sustain life. Narcissists are not natural. Got it. They have to be created. Oh, shit. They don't exist in nature. So how could the lake be a narcissist? I get it. Each one could see the natural God-given beauty in one another. The salty water are tears that turned into compassion. The salty water are tears that turned into compassion for the narcissist, or the salty water or tears that turned into compassion for ourselves. See, that's where I'm getting a little convoluted here, Giacana. I understand the end result is supposed to be about compassion, because I get where the alchemist says, what a lovely story. So I get that the alchemist got it. I'm not getting it. Because I think that I'm not getting it. Because I think it's kind of like when my mom died, right? Or my dad, right? And you mourn. But if I mourn forever, wouldn't I affect my son, my co-workers? Wouldn't that, if I mourned forever, if I don't see the beauty in the ecosystem of Hakuna Matata, life, death, etc., not to never remember, but to mourn too long, wouldn't I ruin, like, does that become compassion if I turn it into real life situations? I don't know. That's where I'm getting a little confused, Giaconda. Is it at some point selfish to mourn to the point where you take away from others? I understand the salty water are tears, but the fresh water, was it supposed to be turned into salty water? Does that make sense? I'm feeling a little out of touch. Because
You know what?
Go ahead.
I know that it's a narcissist. I still think that it's the same energy of the same person.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like something that attracts.
Likeness.
Likeness, yeah. Light attracts light, right?
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, that's the way I get it. So I'm not sure if I get the compassion, I get the end result was about compassion, but I'm not really sure if that's the messaging that I'm getting. I think the narcissist was selfish and the water was selfish because they both were looking at each other for themselves.
Exactly. What is so?
That's the way I'm getting it. I don't know. And then when the boy fell in, the lake was, the way I see it, was very miserable, very sad, salty water, and a flower came through that, which is new life. I get that. Okay, so Giaconda says the story actually explains the Lotus story. Oh, the lotus must flourish in mud. That is the story of the great work of mankind. You know, the lotus is one of the prettiest flowers out there. I mean, it's a beautiful flower. All right. Hello, sweetie. You know, Giaconda, if you ever want to speak on it, you can always call me so I can maybe understand it a little better. Because sometimes this might be a book we're writing, might be not as effective, but you can always call me at 914-205 5699. You can always call me to help me to understand, right? Don't ever be afraid to call. I'm going to put that in the future. That, because this is one of those books where we might have to talk a little.
Yeah.
All right. All right. If we can't do it this week, then we're going to do it next week. We're going to find more information about the Lotus and the Narcissus and the theories behind the Lotus.
You know what, too?
Huh?
I keep hearing Trey talk about, like, it was like it was for their own needs, for their own wants and needs.
Yeah. That's the way I see it. But Giaconda says compassion is the beginning of healing. And I get that. The ecosystem has naturally more salt water on the planet than fresh. And I get that. I get that too. But I think the fresh water serves its purpose, regardless of what has more than, in that moment, the lake serves a purpose.
Than the other.
Right. So if the lake, which is naturally supposed to be fresh water, changes because it's miserable, because the narcissist is no longer there for the lake to love through. I can only be happy if I am looking at the very thing that shows me how beautiful I am. That's what I think I'm trying to say, which is why I'm back to Amber Heard and Johnny Depp, that sometimes like is like. Like, you can change, and I get that narcissist is created. But I also think two narcissists can meet up with one another and love each other through the eyes of one another, right? You know, some people, I'll give you a good example. Some people have a terrible habit of complimenting me too much, right? And I see through it. because I'm not a Leo that you can compliment. A Leo needs compliments. We thrive on it. We live on it. I'm not that Leo that needs it. So when I get it, I can tell the difference between genuine and bullshit. So why are you complimenting me so much? What do you need? I don't know if I'm making sense. And like,
Yeah, it's like what do they want? It's like something about your energy.
mm-hmm,
You know, that they want to pull from you.
yeah. And so that's the way I'm looking at it with narcissists, that they might find each other because they're like-minded. But in the end, their like-mindedness, it can't be sustained, right? One has to go,
No.
not in terms of
It
death.
will never be full.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? So if you think about it, two narcissists are together. There's not only that they can't last, but I mean, like attract each other. But it's like I forgot my train of thought.
That's
But
okay.
yeah, but it's like they you know, it's again, it's energy, and it could be that they are sometimes some people might attract the same person that they are, but you know, it gets boring sometimes, or it becomes a challenge.
Yes.
You know, it becomes a competition. You know, it comes like almost like an empty victory.
Yes.
Right.
Which is again why I'm at Johnny Depp and Amber. Like, here's my theory with Johnny Depp and Amber. Johnny Depp had to have been a narcissist too. That through Amber saw himself. And that's when he figured out, oh my God, she is me. And I don't like me if this is what I'm seeing. If this is what I'm attracted to, I don't like me. And so when he began to change, the narcissist in Amber was like, how dare you not show me love, Lake? How dare you not be there for me and let me relish in my beauty through you? And that's when
it's like the female version.
Yes.
The female version of him.
Yes, and that's when the Lake, who would be Johnny Depp, would receive from the narcissist. Because you have to recognize, I see the narcissist. I am a narcissist. I see it in you. I now realize I was attracted to you because I saw you in me. But when you wake up from the me component of life, me, I, did you hear my story? Me, right? Then you wonder, how could I have married this person? You married that person because that was you. Except that when the reflection came back, that's when Johnny woke up. And he's like, I don't want to be this. And how do I get away? And the narcissist says, don't you dare receive water. Don't you dare leave me. Right? That's the way I'm taking it. But I don't think the intention. What happened?
You know, you're making a good point here.
I'm trying.
It's like, listen, I think that boy fell in that water because he was so in awe with it that it drew his energy in. that
Yeah.
you fell into the water.
Well, here's the thing. Val just made a good point, and you're right, Val, right? Val says, for it to be a beautiful story, doesn't the focus have to be on the lesson learned by the lake to see the beauty of the Narcissus? That's one lesson. But it would be one thing if the lake understood why it was so sad. But the lake started to transmute its sadness into other things. So, if you have a freshwater lake that is so sad that it transmutes itself into salt water, what's the ecosystem around it supposed to do? So it actually becomes selfish, because you're not mourning the loss of a living soul. You're mourning the loss of not seeing yourself through the soul of another.
It's like almost like you became selfish. Not only did the lake became selfish,
The lake
but
became
it-
selfish.
Now it's that has no purpose.
It didn't
It
have
has
a
no purpose.
it didn't have purpose as a lake, and that's what it was designed to do. And because it was mourning so hard, it didn't mourn the soul of the Narcissus, a living soul left. It mourned the fact that the lake couldn't see itself anymore.
That's true.
And that's bullshit. So, I mean, this could be a great thesis. Somebody, I don't know who needs to write a thesis, but to take this story and go beyond, it's not enough for compassion anymore. I understand compassion, but it should have stayed a fresh water. But it didn't. So what happened was, Melissa, I hear crumbling.
Yeah.
What happened was,
Yeah, I'm sorry.
it's okay. Melissa, what happened is that the fresh water changed its soul to salt water. And what came out of that was a different new life. And that was the Lotus. So just imagine that everybody's living off the fresh water, right? All the leaves, the plants, the animals, right? You can drink fresh water, right? You can't drink salt water, right? And so everything's dying, or the animals have to go find another lake, right? All the plants are dying because it's not meant to live in salt water, right? And so then something beautiful comes out of this demise, and that's the Lotus. So that's God saying, stay open for hope. But I do believe that it wasn't so much about compassion. It ended there. The story ends there. It is more about selfishness. To me, again, I could be wrong. I don't know. I'm trying, guys. I'm trying. Thank you, Val. Val's like, I love this, hearing different perspectives. I'm trying. Okay, so musings by Manifa says, this is good. Let's get there now. She says, now Amber has to do the soul work. Lotus. Right. Because you could tell, right? You could tell that Johnny has done his soul work. And okay, remember, guys, oh, this is so perfect. Oh my God, this is perfect. Remember when the lawyer said to Amber, Johnny said he would never look at you again, didn't he? And she said, yes. And the lawyer goes, and he never did he? And she says, no. And the lawyer says, do you look at him? And she said, yes. So my point to you is, she needs to look at him for growth. He is done. He never has to look at her ever again because he saw himself in her. She, on the other hand, now Amber, Musings by Monifa says, has to do the soul work. Lotus. Woo! Hands down, throw it down. We got there. We got there. Woo! That's deep.
That is deep. You know what, too? I mean, after this whole case thing's over,
Yes.
she really does need to, you know, get into the lotus flower.
Yes. Get into the energy. Yes.
The energy, yep. The energy of the lotus flower.
Yes. And oh my God, Musings by Monifa goes, he didn't want to look at her in the eyes. Right. Because he knew he was the lake and she was the narcissist. Do you get it? Yes. Yes. Do you know this book has never been made in a movie? The Alchemist?
Somebody got to do it now. I mean, especially,
Well,
you know, the examples of Johnny being a lake and Amber being a narcissist.
well, ironically, Will Smith was going to do it. Talk about the narcissist and the lake. Will Smith was going to do it. Now, can you now see the comparisons out there? Amber,
I definitely can see the comparison.
Amber, Jada, Will, Johnny. That is the funniest part ever. Will was going to make this into a movie. But look what happened to him. Yeah, look what happened to him. He has to do his soul work. He is not there. He is not there. He is not there. If he does this book, he's got to clean his soul out. He can't be the lake. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And just knowing that the lake turns into salty water, so it's like, it's almost like the energy is just like, if you think about it too, it's like, I know we don't really say this word much, but this, it's kind of like they having like stuck energy.
Say that again, Melissa.
You know?
Say that again. I missed it.
I said, it's like the lake is having like, when it turns to salty water, it's like stuck energy.
Uh-huh. I still missed it.
You know?
Tell me one more time.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I'm missing something now.
Okay. So, I was saying that the lake, when it turns into salty water, I'm saying the energy, you know, since it became salty, it became stuck. Right? There's
Yes.
no comes out of it.
Yes. It became stuck. But even though it changed, something beautiful came out of it. But it was not okay for it to change. God had to find a way regardless. God had to find a way regardless. You ever see like a concrete, right? And a concrete has a crack in it,
Right.
and a flower comes through that concrete. You ever wonder, like, how's that possible? Because it's light. The light will breathe life. Right? Yes. You never realize in a concrete, and there's a crack, and there's a flower, like a little, daisy, like a little daffodil flower coming through.
I've seen that before.
Yes. And don't you ever like wonder, like, what an odd thing for this daffodil to come through this little crack? But it's not odd. It's symbolic of God will find a way. That's the power of God. Then not even mankind can pour concrete and think that the ground that God gave us is not going to find life through concrete.
It's almost like an adapt.
And that's the Lotus, that when the lake turned itself to salt water, ruining the ecosystem, right? That
Right.
God finds a way regardless. God is amazing. Years ago, when I was young, I was in my 20s, and just got married, and I learned about photosynthesis, right? And people used to believe that beyond a certain depth in the water, there is no life. We know better now because we're in 2022. But in 19 something, right? People didn't believe in a global sense that beyond a certain depth, there cannot be life. And what they discovered was chemosynthesis. That the bottom of the vast ocean, whatever that looks like, how many miles down, there's life down there. And some species, water species, will even glow. Because God is there. Because God reinvents. You can't say there's no light. You can't say what doesn't exist. And then when they start to have these deep dive excursions, then they're like, wait a minute. There's a way for for life to give life, even if there's the perception of no light. So the Lotus came through the perception of the lake being so sad. Now, Gioconda says, don't count out, meaning Will Smith. Will Smith might still do it, meaning the book. I get it. The creator, I think you mean God, of all things, takes the menial things of the world to confound the mighty. Oh, I'm not counting out Will Smith. I think that it's ironic. It's ironic that Will, listen to me. What I'm saying is that this book has never been made into a movie. Right? Will Smith was going to make it into a movie. Will Smith has to do some work. He's the lake too. He's Johnny Depp.
Right.
So unless Will Smith gets there and does the soul work, which I promise you, it will be painful for him. He stayed too long looking in the eyes of Jada. and living his life because he's a narcissist too. Yep.
Wow.
And I love me some Will Smith.
It's just like a reflection.
What you say?
Yeah. It's like it's almost like
A reflection.
people are gonna start to see their own. Huh? You heard me?
Yes, I can hear you. People start to see their own.
It's like almost like a reflection.
Mm-hmm.
So like Will Smith is seeing a reflection of, being awake, not only seeing Jada, but it's like you said, it's gonna be painful. That's why the fresh water is gonna turn into smoking water.
Yes. Yes. So, I mean, I just think it's going to be interesting, guys. It's going to be interesting because let's understand something else. Will Smith can't make this movie. Don't get it twisted. God is not going to let Will Smith make this movie. He's not ready.
Right.
And that's a period. No one has been able to make this book into a movie because it's so deep. Who has the gift? Okay?
And knowing that he got put in, now that he had put in his own work.
Yep.
You gotta do what Wilson got to do for him.
Yep.
Not for Jada.
Yes. Yes. And the smack heard around the world, that was severance. That was a death. So what's Will Smith gonna do now? And don't get it twisted. It was a death for Jada too. What's Jada gonna do now? So it's gonna be, but the difference is, at the very least, Johnny Depp knew to never look at Amber again. He's never going to get captivated by seeing himself in her.
Like memorize.
Yes.
Do you call it memorizing? Hypnotizing, right?
Yep, mesmerize, yeah. He's never going to let her capture his soul ever again. He is healed from her. Of course, excuse me, guys. Of course, there's more work to do, but at least he's healed from her. That's crazy. That's
so
crazy.
Like Will's gonna go through the whole. He will memorize even when even at the whole Jada sleeping with the guy,
Yeah.
It was like, I'm still sticking by my wife, it's like memorizing, but wow. You know what too, Tracy? That slap felt like it was a cry for help.
Oh, girl, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Wasn't it?
It was.
Sophia. Wait, Melissa. Sophia goes.
It's so true.
Wait.
It was a cry for help. It was like, I'm done.
Yes. Wait, Melissa. Sophia goes, Amber and Jada are soul sucker of men. It's true. It's so true. That's too funny. All right, Melissa. Part 1. Thank you for that, everyone. Thank you for that discussion. I want to see who's going to do a thesis on this, because this is really deep. Remember, guys, when we're reading, we're transposing the information to today. How does it relate today? So remember, that's the whole purpose of this book club. Not just to read, but to understand what we're doing with the information in our lives right now today. All right, Melissa. That was deep. I still can't get over the whole Lotus Lake.
That was deep, like
Yes.
everything.
It was good.
It was good.
All right,
All right, I'll begin on
I lost my pencil. God damn. Oh, maybe I dropped it. All right. I'll find it. Go for it, Melissa.
okay, it says the boy name was San Diego. Or Santiago.
Mm-hmm.
Dusk was falling as the boy arrived with his herd at an abandoned church. The roof had fallen in a long ago, and an enormous
Sycamore.
Sycamore had grown on the spot where the sanctuary
Sacristy.
had. How you say that word, Tracy?
Sacristy. It must be a different type of plant. Sycamore is a tree. Sycamore.
That's a tree?
Sycamore is a tree.
Oh,
It said the roof had
okay,
fallen
I
long
the word
ago.
tree underneath it, so I never knew that.
Yes. And so Sacristy must be another tree or plant.
Oh, okay, so Sycamore has once stood. He decided to spend the night. He saw it that all the sheep emerged through the ruined gate, and then land some blinks across it to prevent the flock from wandering away during the night. There were no wolves in the range, but once an animal had strayed during the night. The boy had to spend the entire next day searching for it. He swept the floor with his jacket and lay down using the book he had just finished reading as a pillow. He told himself that he would have to start reading thicker books. They last longer and made more comfortable pillows. It was still dark when he awoke, and looking up, he could see the stars through the half-destroyed roof. I wanted to sleep a little longer, he thought. He had had the same dream that night as a week ago, and once again he had awakened before it ended. He arose and, taking up his crock, began to awaken the sheep that still slept. He had noticed that as soon as he awoke, most of the animals also began to stir. It was as if some mysteries, energies, bond his life to that of the sheep. When who we had spent the past 2 years leading through the countryside in search of food and water. They are so used to me that they know my schedule. He muttered, thinking about that for a moment, he realized that it could be the other way around. That it was he who had become accustomed to their schedule. There were certain of them who took a bit longer to awaken. The boy prodded them one by one with his crock, calling each by name. He had always believed that the sheep were able to understand what he said. So there were times when he read them part of his book that he had an impression on him, or when he would tell them of the loneliness or the happiness of a shepherd in the field. Sometimes he would commit to them on the things he had seen in the village. But for the past few days, he had spoken to them about only one thing: the girl, the daughter of the merchants who lived in the village. They would reach in about 4 days. He had been in the village only once the year before. The merchant was the
Proprietor. Melissa, proprietor.
Proprietor, okay. The merchant was the proprietor of a dry goods shop, and he always demanded that the sheep be cheered in his presence so that he would not be cheated. A friend had told the boy about the swamp. He had to take in his sheep there. I need to sell some wool, the boy told the merchant. The shop was busy, and the man asked the shepherd to wait until the afternoon. So the boy sat on the steps of the shop and took a book from his bag. I didn't know shepherds knew how to read, the girl's voice behind him. The girl was typically of the region of Analyze.
I guess Andalusia. Maybe it's the name of a town.
Andalusia, region of Andalusia, with flowing black hair and eyes that
eyes that wait, Melissa. Eyes that vaguely.
Eyes that vaguely recall the Moorish.
Conquerors. Moorish conquerors. Now, aren't the Moors black, everyone? I think, is this an Italian city? Aren't the Moors black? So there's a reference here that the girls from this region of Andalusia with flowing black hair and eyes that vaguely recall the Moorish conquerors. So she might have some African in her. So go ahead, Melissa. I don't know why that's important, but go ahead.
Well, usually I learn more from my sheep. Usually I learn more from my sheep than from books, he answered during the 2 hours that they talked. She told him she was the merchant's daughter and spoke of the life in the village. where each day was like all the others. The shepherd told her of the I'm gonna have a hard time saying, so I'm gonna get there.
Adolesian.
Adolesian countryside, and related the news from the other town where he had stopped. It was a pleasant change from talking to his sheep. How did you learn to read? The girl asked at one point. Like everybody learns, he said, in school. Well, if you know how to read, why are you just a shepherd? The boy mumbled an answer that allows him to avoid responding to her question. He was sure the girl would never understand. He went on telling stories about his travels, and her bright Moorish eyes went wide with fear and surprise. As the time passed, the boy found himself wishing that the day would never end, that her father would stay busy and keep him waiting for 3 days. He recognized that he was feeling something he had never experienced before. The desire to live in one place forever with a girl with the raven hair. His days would never be the same again. But finally the merchant appeared and asked the boy to share 4 sheep. He paid for the wool and asked the shepherd to come back the following year.
So, Melissa, it's funny how almost immediately you can see change occur, right? That,
Right.
like, the shepherd goes, well, the shepherd's the father, right? He goes, well, I'll do your sheep, but I can't do them till this afternoon, right? And the boy had an option.
Right.
He had an option. He could have left and been like, screw you, and left. Or he could sit by the shop and wait until the father called him to share some of the sheep. He chose to wait. Yeah. And because he's a book reader, right? And I don't know about everybody else, but when you are a book reader, you got patience. You got a lot of patience when you read a book, which is what's missing with the internet, right? Because the internet, I need it fast. Give it to me. Whatever that next. But when you got a book, you could wait hours at the airport. Hours. When they say, come to the airport 3 hours later, I'm there 4.5 hours. Right? Because I always got a book in tow. I love to people watch. Right? I will find somebody to talk to. Do you understand? So he pulled out his book because he has the patience to wait. That is something that he would have been taught, or that is something that his sheep would have taught him. Patience. And in that moment of patience that he was taught, here comes a little girl that seriously, after a few hours of talking, he fell in love with her. And in that moment, he said to himself, I would change my life to live in this town forever. That's beautiful.
look at that. It's like one decision, one action turns into something that he probably didn't even expect.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know what, too?
Yeah.
I think he liked that she allowed him to talk.
Tell me more.
You know, like, not only that, but, you know, you got to think about if you're a shepherd boy, you have sheep all day.
Yes.
All the company you have is your sheep, right?
Yeah.
So you don't have no interacting with telling someone your adventure or what you've seen today.
Yeah.
You know, it's almost like it's like a loneliness.
Yeah. So true. You know, so true. Yeah. Because even he says, I usually learn more from my sheep than my books. And that's because you're spending your whole life with your sheep.
With your sheep.
Yeah. But this little girl comes along, and all of a sudden, he starts to decide, like, he's about to give up his sheep for this little girl.
I know, right?
Yes.
He's like, you know what?
Yes. Right? What did he say? Hold on. I love the writer keeps talking about her Moorish eyes, and Gioconda said, yes, the Moors are black. As the time passed, the boy found himself wishing that the day would never end, that her father would stay busy and keep him waiting for 3 days. He recognized that he was feeling something he'd never experienced. Now you know that's love, Melissa.
That's love.
The desire to live in one place forever. With the girl, with the raven, yes, with the girl with the raven hair. His days would never be the same again. Wow. She had an impact on him. That's love.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's love. All right.
I'll finish reading.
Go for it. Go for it.
And now it was only 4 days before he would be back in the same village. He was excited and at the same time uneasy. Maybe the girl had already forgotten him. Lots of shepherds passed through selling their wool. It doesn't matter, he said to his sheep. I know other girls in other places. But in his heart, he knew that it did matter. And he knew that shepherds, like seamen, and like traveling salesmen, always found a town where there was someone who could make them forget the joy of carefree wandering. The day was dawning, and the shepherd urged his sheep in the direction of the sun. They never have to make any decisions, he thought. Maybe that's why they always stay close to me. The only thing that concerned the sheep were food and water. As long as the boy knew how to find the best pasturage
Pastures.
Pastry?
Pastures. Pastures.
Pastor in Atlas.
Andalusia. Remember, it might be the name of a town. I'm going to look it up for later.
Andalusia. I have to look that up later so I can keep trying to say it.
Yes. Yes, of course.
Andalusia. They would be his friends. Yes, there's days are all the same with the seemingly endless hours between sunrise and dusk. And they had never read a book in their young lives and didn't understand when the boy told them about the signs of the city. They were content with just food and water, and in exchange, their generosity gave of their wool, their company, and once in a while, their meat. If I become a monster today and decide to kill them, one by one, they will become aware only after most of the flock has been slaughtered. So the boy,
Thought the boy,
they
yes.
trust me.
Go ahead.
They trust me, and they trust me, and that they have forgotten how to rely on their own instinct, because I led them to nourishment. The boy was surprised at his thoughts. Maybe the church will be done more.
Maybe the church with the sycamore.
Sycamore, growing from within, had been haunted. It had casually.
No.
It had caused him. It had caused him to have the same dream for a second time, and it was causing him to feel angry towards his faithful companion. He drank a bit from the wine that remained, remained from his dinner of the night before, and he gathered his jacket closer to his body.
So hold on, Melissa. So what's happening here? Something's happening to this little boy, right? Something's happening, right? Because he says in the previous page, number 7, if I became a monster today and decided to kill them one by one, they would become aware only after most of the flock had been slaughtered. The boy thought, they trust me, and they've forgotten how to rely on their own instincts, because I lead them to nourishment. But the boy was surprised at his thoughts. He never thought about killing these sheep. Remember, the sheep is all he has. And then he goes, maybe the church with the sycamore growing from within had been haunted. It had caused him to have the same dream for a second time. And it was causing him to feel anger toward his faithful companions. Right? So what's happening to this little boy?
Right.
What do you think is happening?
And you know what? It's like the sycamore, that's the tree, right?
It's the
so that's
tree.
The tree by the church.
Remember, it was an abandoned church. So
Abandoned church.
he slept there, but he's having some bad thoughts. And he can't explain it because he's not a bad person. He loves his sheep. They're everything to him. So now he's saying, man, if I killed them, they wouldn't even know it. And then he says, wait, this is the second time I had this thought. What is happening to me? Right? So what's happening to him is that he had said in a prior paragraph that he could live in this town, Andalusia, forever. That all of a sudden his sheep takes him away from this little town where the girl lives. So now he's starting to get mad at the sheep. Because he had...
It's like he's kind of taking out his thought. He's having negative thoughts.
Yes, but because all of a sudden he's recognizing his life. And he's starting to say, he doesn't know it yet, right? But he's starting to say, I don't know if I want to be a shepherd forever. Remember, the little girl triggered him. And the little girl, you're a shepherd. You could read. And he's like, I don't want to tell her the story about why I could read, so I'm just going to ignore it. But she triggered him to help him to realize that he might be better than a shepherd. But it was the first time someone ever, shook him up. He spent all his time with sheep. He didn't realize that he was a fabulous person. It never dawned on him. Until he meets this little girl, and she's like
she's seen more.
Go ahead.
It's like she's seen more potential in him.
Yeah.
Like he could be more than a shepherd. Like,
yes. If you can read, you could be
90 seconds.
If you could read, you could be anything, she says. Why a shepherd? And she didn't mean any harm, but it was the beginning of change, molecular change inside every cell in his body, not just his soul, but everything had to be rethought at this point. Why am I a shepherd? Are these sheep holding me back?
60 seconds. And then it's like he fell, and then he fell for somebody. Like,
yes.
He really liked this girl. Like, he would give everything just to be with her.
Yes. Hold on, Melissa. You know? Hold on. Are you doing your show today, Melissa?
Sure. Yeah, I'm doing my show today at 12:30 today.
For everyone, Melissa's doing her show. It's 12:30-ish, I like to say. Reach out to her at 914-205-5699 for a free reading. All right? I just want to say that because Blog Talk Radio is about to end. I'll type it in for a StreamYard. But was Jesus a shepherd? What's wrong with being a shepherd?
10 seconds.
No. Let's not confuse Jesus coming here and the book. The book is at a time when shepherds may not have been valued. They're shepherds. Bring your sheep. Right? There are like she said, apparently they don't read, right? You could read, she says, and basically says you could do so much more.
So much more. Like, she's basically telling him, what are you wasting your time being a shepherd for?
Right.
But not trying to be mean.
She wasn't trying to be mean. She was shocked that she had met a shepherd boy that could read. But even he didn't have enough inside of him to explain why he could read. So there's something going on with that too. right? But now he leaves.
Right.
And so now we see, like, oh, I can live with this girl forever in this town. And I know every day would be different. He's already decided that. So now he leaves with his sheep and he's like,
Really?
I don't know if I want to be a sheep. A shepherd. Sheep. A shepherd. Because one, the shepherd takes me away from her. It also makes me look bad because
Right.
apparently shepherds don't read, right? But the point is not a comparison to Jesus, Giacana. The point is to stay with the concept of the book, where one person can change your whole trajectory. One person. Right? And then
Right.
and then he starts to have these bad thoughts because he's now mad at the sheep. He doesn't know it, but he's like, I could just eat them. Because what he's saying is, I don't know if I want to be a shepherd anymore. So if I start to kill them off and eat them, they're not the brightest anyway because they've decided I'm their leader. I don't know if I want to be their leader anymore.
Right.
So now he's starting to
You know what's so
have
funny?
these bad thoughts, but they're not really bad thoughts. It's thoughts about changing his life.
Exactly. Changing his life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like a different. She shows him a different perspective.
Yes. Yes.
You know, of potential.
Yes. Yes. Because he can read. He's not limitless. He doesn't have limits.
No.
He's limitless. He can do anything he wants. That's what she basically told him. But he didn't understand that. He didn't understand how powerful he was. She told him.
He never got to experience. Yeah. He
Exactly.
probably never got to experience, like I said, having sheep. You know, that's the only ones that he communicate with.
Yes. He didn't understand how
She
smart.
was an eye-opening.
Yes.
Eye-opening for him.
Yes. He didn't understand how smart he was. He didn't understand that reading could take him to bigger heights. She saw it. She's like, you can read? Boy, you better do better. She saw it.
And you know what? If you could spend 3 hours talking to a guy, you know, that shows right there, like there is some kind of potential there.
Yes.
Y'all can just sit there and talk, and I wish it was longer.
Yes. Right. Right. Whew. All right, Melissa, we did good. Thank you. And I lost her because she's talking through Block Talk Radio, so we got it out just in time. Wait. Oh no, I ended. Oh, they ended me. Whatever. Okay. Hopefully Melissa can see that we ended and she can come over to Block Talk YouTube real quick to say goodbye. But thank you everyone for listening. I hope you got something out of it today. That Narcissus in the water, that blew me away today. And now we get to the part where this boy is starting to figure out that he can have better. And I think that's beautiful too. All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening. I was waiting for Melissa to come over. It doesn't look like she's coming over. So, oh, wait. Before I do that, I knew she was coming over. Before I do that, join Melissa today at 12:30 on Blog Talk Radio. Look for Tapped In. That's the name of the channel. The name of the channel is called Tapped In. And then it's called the Melissa Burton Show. Press 1 to get in the queue for a reading. All right, guys? (914-205-5699) for Melissa. All right, guys. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Melissa. Thank you. Everyone, have a good day. I'm going to try and get over to agriculture. You're welcome, Melissa. And see what kind of agriculture is over there. By the way, there are fruits that you all have never tried out here. So I'm really going to go to study. Bye, Giaconda. Thank you for your help today. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Have a good day. Keep me posted. Bye.
Gals and guys, go to Tracey Brown Live. Go to Tracey Brown Live. Go to Tracey Brown Live. Gals and guys, go to Tracey Brown Live. Go to Tracey Brown Live. Go to Tracey Brown Live. Gals and guys, go to Tracey Brown Live. Go to Tracey Brown